Welcome to Culture by the Uncultured. We are your hosts, DJ, Sam, and Taylor B. On today's episode, the few topics we have for you guys are mainly about music, some news going on in the entertainment industry, and a couple things about the police. Today, we're going to start off with music, specifically Posthumous albums, a little bit of the XXL Freshmen, and we're going to just take it from there. First and foremost, I'm sure you guys are aware that many Posthumous albums have come out in the, let's just say, last year. There was a Mac Miller song came out this year. Avicii dropped an album, a Posthumous album. Prince has an album. XXXTentacion had an album come out, and Lil Peep had a project come out. I don't know if it was an album or if it was an EP. A bunch of more people, of course, had projects come out and music drop. And of course, you know, bigger names from decades ago, Tupac, Biggie, etc. Just give us a couple thoughts about what you guys think about the aspect of people coming out with music, even though it's not their dream come to fruition necessarily, because other people are having their hands involved in this project.
Well, you know, if you look at post-death albums and you think, I instantly think of Prince, because they said Prince had like vaults of music he just has never released, because he would record like 3 songs a day, like on average, and just say, yeah, I don't like this one, this is not good enough, put it away.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, having those albums come out after an artist's death, like in cases where they have families, it could be a continued support for that family, or just for respect of their style and everything they have going for them. And, you know, it gives you a clear indication of where that artist actually stood before they died, because a lot of post-release are actually really good. And it's like, oh, wow, I'll never be able to hear him perform this song live. Like listening to X's Whoa, like I'm like, dang, I wish he would have released that, you know, when he was alive, so I'd be able to hear him like sing that out or do it, you know. But it is what it is.
When it comes to albums released after somebody dies, I feel like X's albums were a lot of the music was kind of like sad and kind of like touching people that are maybe in a darker place, you know. A lot of the songs were darker tones. Some of it was really hype, you know. I loved his music, you know, regardless if he wasn't saying much or if he was like being real deep and you know, being sad boy. With the release of Skins, it was still good music too, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel it's like there's a disconnect, because it's not from him like fully, like it's his words and his recordings, even if it's like some of it may sound like it's recorded through like a cell phone or, you know, something like a freaking recorder or some sort, instead of like an actual, like, you know, high quality microphone. But it's like, it's almost like these are references. Like he wanted this for the future, but this might not necessarily be what he would have wanted for his next project or to put out, period, you know. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Prince didn't really want an album after his death.
I know his wife or ex-wife released all that.
Okay. So I mean, that's kind of tough too, especially in a situation like that. I definitely get your point about having the music come out for supporting the families and things like that. That's a good reason, in my opinion, and potentially enough of a reason alone, because, you know, some people might feel like, and I know tons of people voice their opinions, like even about X's mom. Oh, she's just using his name now that he's dead, like she's just making money off of him. Oh, they're making money off Nipsey and all this stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, and I said this here before on this podcast, that's what they would want. They're gonna want their families to eat, you know. They're not gonna want their people to starve and go without and be like, damn, I did all this shit for nothing, because now, you know, they're broke, they're destitute or whatever, they don't have no job, they don't have no skills. They've been, you know, I've been giving them money and taking care of them since I was able to, you know, and now that I'm not here no more, they don't have no way to take care of themselves. But as long as albums or music is coming out, features, you know, whatever they can get, merch, whatever it is, that's helping to feed their families and help them live, not in the physical aspect, but, you know, like they're still here. Like as long as Nipsey's music's coming out and merch is coming out and you know, we hear features or whatever it is, Nipsey lives on, you know, and especially in the hearts and minds of his friends and family. Same thing for X, same thing for, you know, Prince, all the people that mess with his music. The money's going somewhere, and and if it's going to his family and if it's going to their families, period, I don't mind it. Yeah. I just feel like for the sake of the music, it's not the same, because this is not their mind putting the pieces together in the end, you know.
Yeah.
It might not be the cohesiveness that they wanted. They might have wanted a specific story to be being told. They might have wanted a specific sound only on the next album, whatever it may be, you know. It's just like the creativity is tainted because it doesn't just come from them. Not that every album, you know, is made by one artist or anything like that. that. You know, there's producers, engineers, all that stuff. There's a lot that goes into it, but I feel like in totality, most artists, you know, especially if they're somewhat independent or, you know, doing their own thing, they have a very high degree of control on what is going on with their album, story-wise, cohesiveness, sound, quality, you know, whatever atmospheric tones that they want to put out and portray, whatever that message may be, you know, things like that. But we're never going to get that if the artist is gone. You know, it's just not going to be the same. Like Skins could have been a completely different album for X if he had been alive and made it, you know, all himself and just be like, all right, this is what I want. Cool. We're going to put this out, you know, next week or whatever, you know, and then maybe pass that. It'd be way different in that aspect. But no, people put this together for him after he passed away. I know he was working on it, but who knows what could have been axed at the last minute or added at the last minute, you know?
Yeah. And especially when you come to think about it, like if we talked about Skins a lot, he also came out with Members Only, which is what he usually does.
Yeah.
He has this compilation that he has from all of his people in his inner circle, and you hear the songs like The Sauce and all that and everything. Like all these songs, including Skins, they have that X sound, and they do. The thing that I wanted to say about it, when you were talking about how they are like, you really don't know what these artists really wanted. And yes, I agree that some of these things come out to help their families and help support the people they've left behind. The big thing is, like, I read something about the Little Peep XXXTentacion song, Falling Down. So in the past, from what I've read, Little Peep and X didn't really get along. It wasn't that they were against each other, but they didn't get along. And fans were outraged at the idea that these songs came out posthumous for both of these artists, trying to like tie the knot. And I understand. I mean, you're trying to both these artists are now dead, and you want to kind of bring both fan bases together, kind of that bringing them together through adversity kind of thing. But I remember the fans just being really mad at the fact that how could you guys put these together? They would have never done this together. They would have never done this sort of stuff. And I mean, it's kind of weird how you hear that sort of stuff and you see what the artist could have wanted if they were alive.
Yeah, exactly. Because you never know what's truly in people's hearts or minds at the end of the day. I mean, like towards the end of his life, I know X and like Ski had a major beef come out, you know, and like Ski didn't want to work with him no more. You know, he had a bunch of reasons or whatever. And X was very in his feelings and basically was saying like, I'm not going to make music anymore unless Ski's my friend again. And then while they did end up making up again, it was right before he passed away, like a couple months, I think, before he passed away. And I'm never going to know how that may have affected them, like musically, like if we would have got a joint project from them, maybe like just a Ski and an X project, or if Ski would have been on a feature in the next album, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Nobody can tell us what's going on with that. You know, nobody can tell us what X was necessarily thinking about Peep. I think there was an interview about him and Peep where he was like saying like he didn't know certain things about him when he passed or something. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he got like a hold of the music or something, or he was like on board with making the track before he passed away, and like people were talking to him about Peep and stuff. And, you know, basically him just like, oh, I didn't know like he was like this. Like we didn't really vibe with each other like that. So that's just how it went or whatever. And, you know, the X died, of course, and the song came out like you said. But we don't know if people don't want to have beef. We don't know if we don't know what people's true feelings are. You know, I could say out loud I don't like somebody, but then that doesn't mean like, damn, I wish we was tight, you know, or something. Or, you know, especially as friends, you know, like we don't know what's going on. It's a music industry. Half of it is an act and half of it is like actual feelings, you know. So a lot of stuff happens for publicity's sake. Maybe some of it is real, and you're just like, oh damn, they really don't like each other, or, you know, this person hates that person, etc., or whatever, you know. But at the end of the day, we don't ever know what that person is actually thinking, you know. The masses are gonna, of course, fan bases are gonna be like, oh, I know him because I've been there from day one. I know everything about him. I know his name, his birth date, and this, that, and the third. And it's like, you don't know shit, dude. You don't know this dude, you know. You know him. You know his voice from a microphone. That's it.
And people's ideas change. The way people think and the way people act.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it in the music industry yourself with how much someone's style can just change within a matter of an album.
Yeah,
one single album
definitely
can change someone's style completely. So when it comes down to that same sort of idea, people could fix these beefs and come back from all these attacks and actually become close, like you said, with X and Ski. So I mean, when you think about these albums, it's just kind of, for me, it's kind of like a weird spot because, like we said, Avicii just dropped Tim earlier, I believe last month. Obviously, Avicii died from suicide in 2018, and hearing that album, it's kind of weird because it was it's very different listening to a house album versus listening to, like, say, if X came out with something new, a whole album of something new, not counting Skins, because So this album was put out by his co-producers.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like they said it was 80 to 90% Avicii, which is awesome.
Mhm.
That's something you always want to hear, that like, okay, the majority of the music coming out is mostly him. But
Mhm.
at what point do you
His
listen to
project,
these?
his sound.
Yeah, but at what point do you listen to these projects? You listen to these songs and you say, this is all that person. Because like you guys said in the beginning, we never know what their intentions were, where they were going with these songs. Some of these songs are
Yeah,
concepts before something even happens.
for real.
The thing with Prince's vaults upon vaults, those are probably all well-made songs, almost completed songs. They just needed to be mastered. So it all comes to the point where you have all these songs that are 80% done by an artist, 90% done by an artist, or in some cases, like for example, the song from X, the Arms Around You, featuring
It's like Little Pump
Little Pump.
Little Pump and somebody else. I
Yeah,
forget who though.
Little Pump, Maluma, and someone else, or Sway Lee. That song literally only has 5 lyrics from X, but it's a good song. And it's kind of like, where do you draw that line of what a full feature or what a full song is by an artist when they're gone?
Something like that almost seems like you're just trying to ride on the coattails of the person passing, you know? It's not really like it'd be different even if it was like an older recording or something and you just kind of play that or something, you know?
Mhm.
And it's like something wise or something good that he says. I know that kind of happened on the Members Only Volume 4. There's a song, I forget the name of the song, but it's an old recording of something that X was saying, basically saying that like, you know, you're gonna get what you deserve, you know, like he talked about himself dying. If I get gunned down, then I deserve that shit, you know. People who are, you know, like have like the worst lives and like they're, you know, they're broke, they're poor, like it's just because you're supposed to be that for right now, but you're gonna get what you deserve. Don't worry, you know, just keep like fighting through it and you're gonna make it, you know. And something like that is great and it's awesome, you know. Of course I want to hear whatever X has to say, especially if it's something that like not everybody, like I didn't hear that I'm sure it was probably said like on live or something like that. I never saw that. So that was pretty cool, you know, a little bit eerie because, you know, he talked about being gunned down, which is what happened. But I was like, oh, this is, you know, this is dope. Like great beat in the background and then just listening to his words in general. But for something where it's like, you know, very minimal, like it's like they barely contributed to whatever the song is or the sound is. And it's kind of like, are you just using this person just to say that, oh, like, look, he's on here, haha, you know, like, because it, like you said, 5 lyrics. I tried to listen to the song and it was like way too, like, I don't even know what to say. I just couldn't get through the whole song and I was, you know, so I stopped listening to it. But if the dude only said 5 words, especially if it's not meaningful or enlightening or something, or like real powerful or wisdom, you know, then it's just kind of like, yeah, you guys are just using this dude to get some numbers up or whatever because he passed away or whatever, you know. Even the song with Mac Miller just dropped a song, or not Mac Miller, but they song just came out with Mac Miller, Saya, and someone else. It makes you wonder if he would have wanted this. How do we know he wanted this feature? How do we know this wasn't just, or his estate or whoever just sold these lyrics that he speaks and that was that, you know?
Yeah.
It just kind of goes back to the whole topic of we don't know what the artist truly wants. I know Mac Miller supposedly had a whole album they were talking about in the video of, it was like 4 artists and like, you know, they were video calling people in to give their words about him and stuff. Somebody said he had like a full album project done that was that he just never released in like years ago, and he probably has and he has just tons and tons of music because the guy was just that dedicated to making music, you know. That was his thing. I like to make music. He makes music, you know. And I don't want to sit here and say that I know the guy and then be like, oh yeah, just release the albums because, like, you know, or release the music because we want to hear it. Because if he doesn't think that, it could be multiple reasons that he doesn't want that stuff out. It could be the fact that, you know, he doesn't think the world's ready for the message. He doesn't think like the quality. He ended up thinking like, you know what, I'm not really vibing with this. I thought this is where I wanted to go, but I definitely didn't want to go. So, you know, at the end of the day, we're just never going to know what the artist thinks. And it's hard. And I feel like the last thing is just like the industry of it all. Like, it's hard for me to be like, oh, let me get a new album, knowing that like this other entity that is like not them, not their estate, is making money off of this too, you know, like, cause you know, they're dead.
Well, it depends on what they're getting the money for. Like, you got some people that are just going to ride the coattails of success of other people.
Yeah, for sure.
I think when it's more like X's mom, who he was pretty much spending all his money on her anyways.
Yeah.
Securing the future for her and, you know, his child. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you just have like a recording company that will put out a Tupac or Biggie greatest hits or unreleased music from Biggie and Tupac,
yeah,
just to, you know, get the cash grab, that's just another thing. That's just how the industry works also. So either way, that's just how we're going to do things.
Yeah, it's hella messed up.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from there, guys. The XXL Freshmen for the class of 2019. What are your thoughts?
So for me personally, I say this lightly, I guess. I never pay attention to the double XL freshman.
Most people
I kind of
don't.
figure that it's just like a meme, or it's really something that I really don't like. I see all these other lists that usually come out and say these top new artists and shit like that. So for me, it never really was a big deal. I took a look to it. I always usually listen to the cipher that follows, just because they can either be really fucking good or really fucking shitty.
Well, my thing is, I think it's become a joke now. Like, people think it's a joke because they used to have artists like Kendrick Lamar on there, or J. Cole,
Isaiah Rashad.
yeah.
Sure.
But then they failed to give Drake and Nicki Minaj their actual freshman look,
Yeah.
and wanted to get them on a couple years later. And they're like, no, we've been out for like 2-3 years now. But the artists they're putting on are all hype artists for the most part. That's just what it is. I mean, they got Rico Nasty, and I don't even think she makes like really serious music for the most part. It's just like funny shit. I mean, YBN Cordae, he's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie about that one. But I was like, okay, the baby, which is, here or there, is either a hit or miss with that. Gunna's a hit or miss. But then I got to the 10th pick because that's what I was waiting on. And they put fucking Blueface.
Oh yeah.
As one of the freshmen. I'm like, yo.
I really want to see. I mean, the guy already doesn't listen to the fucking beat when he's rapping already. So I really want to see how that works for a freestyle. Like, it's probably just going to sound the same. But I mean,
if he freestyle, he's probably going to ask for them to drop the fucking beat.
Drop the beat. Hey, just take the beat off and throw it in when I'm rapping.
I can see if you were like off beat and you sounded good.
Yeah.
But he's off beat and it sounds like he's fucked up in the club at 3 a.m.
His style of rapping is ridiculous.
Yo, like Sonny tells me all the time, I talk slow and I have long pauses in between sentences and words to make people think I'm done talking. But this dude is like, is it over? Is it over yet? Like, makes my ears cringe.
I completely agree with the hype. Or as far as like, it's generally speaking about hype artists, things like that. Like you said, YB and Cordae, he's a pretty bright mind. Tierra, Whack. I don't want to call anybody dumb or anything like that, because I mean, they're all making money, they're all making music, they're all being creative in some way, shape, or form. There's a couple there's like 4 that I really haven't heard any music from. Lil Mozzie, Roddy Ricch. I know DJ, you said that he was Die Young, that song. I've heard that, but I mean, I haven't really heard like a project from him. Haven't really sat down and like dove into his music catalog or anything like that. YK Osiris, I've only ever seen him on social media. There was one more name. Comethazine. Never listened to none of his songs. Guy looks a little bit crazy. I already said Tierra Whack and YB and Cordae were bright minds. I love their music. They sound really great. They actually talk about real shit. Gunna, and one of those, like, this is like a club sound, I guess, kind of. The Baby too. Both of those I can hear at like clubs or like big functions, The songs are just going crazy. People are dancing, kind of just gigging to the vibe and all that. But for the most part, I feel like I completely agree. It's kind of a joke, the double XL freshman. It's nothing. I would just take it with a grain of salt if I was a rapper personally. I don't ever think that, like, for years now, maybe since like 2014 to me, maybe 2015 was like the last good class.
Designer was a freshman on the XXL.
Yeah. And that's where the problem really comes in, is like they get these guys that have like one really big single because like their name is everywhere. You know what I mean? Like Blueface, like I feel like right before Old Town Road came out, we really got Tatiana, and like that was blowing up, and then Old Town Road kind of took over from there. For whatever reason, they didn't ask Lil Nas X to come out. I'm surprised, but they decided to ask Blueface to come out, and
he's not a rapper. His song doesn't count as rap music or country music.
I know, right? That don't even make sense. But yeah, that's a huge issue to me too, with the just one big single, and now I'm in here. I really think that the double XL freshman, in order to be that, in my opinion, I think you should have something to kind of provide you're cementing in this genre, so you're making, this class,
making your case, basically.
Instead of just like one hit single, and it's like, okay, now this guy's got to be a great rapper because he's got one bomb single. I'm sure.
I'm also going to point out, Rico Nasty isn't even a freshman.
Yeah, she's been on for a couple years.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you got to think about it. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up to this is, like, a lot of these people, a lot of them are like brand new, actual freshmen. But there was an idea of people asking why 2 people were left out. So people were asking why Boogie and Juice WRLD were left out of this actual list. Boogie, for obvious reasons, he has his own album that just came out, Everything for Sale, and he has a bunch of mixtapes.
Project.
Yeah, and he has a bunch of mixtapes.
First major album.
So that's the thing. At what point do you consider I'm a freshman or not.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, to be honest, I would consider Juice World to be a freshman.
Yeah.
In that sort of case. Yet you have him not on this list, and Juice World is probably the most famous out of all these people.
Mhm.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, YB Corday's been out since like 2017 as well. I think like early 18.
I don't know if it has anything to do with actual albums or if it's just singles, because in that aspect, as far as like albums or major projects, then I feel like YBN Cordae does fit that description at least, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't have anything super huge out. He has a bunch of singles out. He's been on a bunch of features.
Yeah.
So like he has, because, and I think it's thanks to his lyricism and his lyrical ability, that he has a catalog of music. Whether it's not just one project, but he's been on a lot of other projects and a lot of features. He has a bunch of singles. Tierra Whack, she already had her first major project. I didn't hear about her before that, but I've heard a lot of the songs that she's made prior to that. She's been around for a while too, since like 2015, probably before. She's been rapping forever, probably. You know, with her lyrical level, I'm sure she's been rapping for a very long time. Some of these other artists, like, you know, like I said, I haven't heard of them. I don't know what their actual claim to fame is as far as like, you know, just a hit single, or they actually have some projects, mixtapes, maybe they've dropped their first album or whatever. Like you mentioned Juice WRLD, and it's like I would see him as a freshman too, because he just blew up last year, you know, and the XXL Freshman was already, you know, selected and all that. Blew up last year, still going pretty hard this year. I know he went on tour with Ski Mask, but the guy technically has had 3 or 2 projects come out already, and I don't know if he had like a mixtape, you know, prior to that. So I don't know what exactly they're taking into consideration, but I know like people who've like applied for the XXL Freshman like before, like 2 years ago, are still applying this year.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just a popularity contest in totality. Who has the biggest numbers? Who can we quote unquote help, you know, blow them up even further? Even though I don't think that's what's happening at all. I think it's more that the artists are bringing the XXL, you know, coverage, blowing them up more, you know, more so, because people who have the biggest fan bases are their fans are going to watch this.
Yeah.
So you got these guys who already have a career and who already have millions of followers, millions of fans, and they're like, oh, you're going to be on XXL? Cool, I'm going to go support that too. You know, maybe I might see something else that I want to see on XXL, or I've seen the XXL Freshman before, just want to check it out again. You know, it's just a way for XXL to stay afloat, you know?
Yeah. And I think like when you talk about it, the fact that the people that are watching this are going to be the fans of these sort of people, like I really don't pay attention to it. So whenever I saw this list, to be honest, I didn't know any of these people other than Blueface for the memes, to be honest. Roddy Ricch, I knew about him because of Racks in the Middle and Die Young. Gunna's been a future warrior. He jumps on every feature that he can. I mean, on Drip Too Hard, Yosemite, Space Cadet, Can't Live Without You. Like, he's on a lot of these big artists, like, songs, projects. So, I mean, yeah. I know that I've heard him. But the one thing that I do have to say is that I'm happy about it because of the fact that I feel as though every time I listen to the ciphers or every time I look at the list itself, there's always one. There's always one person that I go down on this list and I see. And to be honest, before 2-3 days ago, I had never heard of YBN Cordae. I've never heard of him. You told me that the list came out. I gave it a listen. I was telling you earlier on, I listened to basically his whole soundtrack, everything that he had in the last 2 days. And I mean, I'd like to say that he's probably one of the ones, he's my favorite. Out of this whole list, he is my favorite to go and actually make something of himself. Yeah. Especially with that song, Bad Idea, that just came out like 4 days ago.
Yeah, definitely. Him and Tierra Whack, I think, are going to go really far in the rap game. From things that I've heard spoken about Roddy Ricch, I'm sure he will too. You know, storytellers are, you know, usually have some bit of longevity, because who doesn't want to hear a story, especially in a musical format? That's what a lot of the beginners or the pioneers of rap were doing, you know, just telling stories and making them rhyme, adding a beat on there and, you know, blowing up. As for the rest of them, I'm sure they're going to have their time to shine, you know, who knows? I could be completely wrong. I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of the music world, but I do know that like when you don't have anything of substance, it doesn't last forever, you know? So if you're just throwing out crap to throw it out, to be like, oh, shake your ass to this, let me just talk some shit on this, then, you know, eventually that fad is going to die out. You're going to get older. Your fan base is going to get older. They're going to be like, I'm not trying to hear this no more, and move on to the next guy or whatever. And it's going to be another generation moving on to the next young guy who was saying the same stuff you were saying, just in a different way. So, you know, hopefully Tierra Whack and YBN Cordae, good luck to them. Best of luck to them, you know, and their future in the rap game, and, you know, giving us quality music and giving us quality lyricism and great lyrical content. Period.
Also, no shout out to Rico Nasty.
I've heard, you know, I haven't really listened to her music like that, but I've seen her at a performance and she was hype. She actually came out during Earl Sweatshirt's set at Camp Flognaw last year, and he was like, like the whole set, Earl was just kind of like, meh, like he doesn't really seem like he's feeling it. And then like he like introduced her, and he was super hype all of a sudden. You know, like his whole energy changed, the look on his face changed. Like, you know, he was running up and down the stage and stuff all of a sudden. I was like, there's something about this girl.
Yeah.
She's clearly brings the hype. She, you know, she's clearly got it to some degree, but
she's not bad. If you listen to her, she can hype you up. Just go listen to her. To her and Doja Cat.
Oh, wow.
That song they did together. I was like, but as fun as that song is, that's like she can legit like hang on. I wouldn't be surprised if she just like popped out of nowhere with some heat.
Okay, definitely. I'll definitely check that out. And quickly, just to kind of wrap up the music side of things, I just want to go a quick shout out to Marlon Craft. He just dropped his project Funhouse Mirror. A lot of great songs on there. It's got a song called Not Everybody, Love Hate Interlude, Family, Gang Shit, which basically is my favorite thing about Gang Shit is that it's talking about the biggest gangs in America, not about being like a gangbanger or something like that, but the biggest gangs in America being like the Klan, the police, and then like incarcerated men, you know? So it's like those three topics, you know, like he doing the songs from their perspective. And it's just really interesting and it's really entertaining. The visuals for that were pretty dope too. Seeing three different men. You don't even see him in the video, if I'm not mistaken. You just see a guy that's a cop, you know, rapping. You see a guy that's incarcerated rapping. And then you see a guy who's a Klansman that's rapping, you know, hoods and everything. It's pretty wild. It's a pretty great idea, but his flow is dope. His beats are dope. He's a great artist. I definitely recommend it. Funhouse Mirror, available on all platforms. Check it out. But speaking of cops, how about those cops in Philly?
You know, I had a conversation with police captain that I worked with, and we decided, you know, there's only a group of people who would get mad about being watched. That's why you have some people that were against police cameras and police microphones. Easy. I don't want to get caught doing or saying anything, so I don't want to have to wear it. And, you know, for years in high school, you know, when social media began being popular, they taught us whatever you put on social media, your employer can look at and make a decision.
Yeah.
And then I've had the argument with multiple people about, you know, I don't care how well of an officer or worker someone is, if they are racist, I don't feel comfortable with them handling my situation, especially if they're known to be racist, because then I feel like they won't help.
They don't have your best interest.
They don't have your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
So this new, I guess you can call it watchdog group, found these 72 officers. I think I told you about it. Went, found these officers who were posting on Facebook or whatever social media programs they're using, and it contained racial, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, all these slanderous things. And 72 of them got put on desk duty, and dozens of them will be fired due to the content. And this is in Philly, which already has problems with African-American men and the police. You know, you can go back through history and look, and Philly officers always are getting involved with some type of black people planting drugs and whatnot.
Definitely.
So I don't feel sorry for them. Either A, watch what you post, or the police department go back and truly look at who you're hiring and their beliefs.
Yeah.
Hell, Taylor, you served with a guy who openly admitted that, you know, his family were part of the Klan or something like that, right?
Yeah. It's super crazy.
Yeah. After I learned that.
Sure. Oh, stay away from me.
I stayed away from the dude.
Yeah.
Was I afraid? No. Am I going to be cautious? Yeah, because I don't know what your mindset is at any particular moment. Can't really just trust you like that after knowing that.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. If I post it online, yo, I hate all white soldiers, you know, I'm pretty sure someone's going to look at that and be like, that guy, we got to do something about that.
Yeah. Just for accuracy's sake, it's actually called the Plain View Project, and the database contains more than 5,000 Facebook posts from 3,500 current or former police officers from 8 jurisdictions across the country that contain racist, anti-Muslim, misogynistic, and violent rhetoric. And as Sam said, 72 Philly police officers were pretty much caught on there saying something in that regard. You know, a lot of them are put on administrative duty. Some of them are going to be suspended and fired. Probably not all of them. I know some of it is a case of people are saying whether what they were saying is protected by constitutional rights or if they're not protected by constitutional rights because it's calling for like violence or whatever. So obviously we'll see what happens with that.
I kind of feel kind of caught in both ways in this sort of situation because I know all three of us have been in the military, and I know that we all have a sort of different type of mindset, different type of way that we talk to civilians versus our military counterparts.
Not gonna lie, I felt that way too.
It kind of feels a little different. I'm not advocating for what these people have said or what they posted, but it kind of comes with that time and place kind of thing. You got to know your audience, you got to know who you're talking to, and it kind of feels dumb, to be honest, because I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not saying that anyone shouldn't have an opinion, but you go into this sort of situation kind of knowing what's going to come from it. You're not going to go online and you're not going to make these sort of claims without expecting some sort of backlash.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just make, like, don't get me wrong, in the military, there are people that come from different points of the world that have different mindsets, and you get those type of people that you work with. Like you guys said, you guys work with someone who said that their family was part of the Klan. I've worked with a whole bunch of people that had the same idea of, oh fuck, the Hispanics, just build a wall and get them over, fucking get them out of here. And it kind of is like, okay, cool, like I understand it, I get the difference, and I get where you grew up. But at the same time, like, as much as we joke or as much as we make those sort of as much as people can say those sort of things, it's really that time and place. I'm not going to go online and post something stupid like that in front of, knowing that millions upon millions can see that and can make a judgment, and it costs all these people their jobs. Like, this is their livelihood. Like, at what point does it come into the fact of, you know what, maybe I shouldn't say this, or maybe it's not the right place to, because I'm not going to argue that it's not constitutionally right for them to have their own opinion and to say their own words, but you should be willing to take the consequences that come with it. If you're going to say something stupid, then be prepared to get fucked over for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is everyone's like, oh, I have the freedom of speech. Well, freedom of speech was used to protect, people who wanted to gather together in groups for demonstration purposes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like what the government's doing, so I'm going to protest, or to
Like peaceful
protest, or like media companies and outlets. That's what it originally was protecting. People want to take it now, saying I have the freedom to say whatever I want to say. Well, if that's the case,
I hope this group of people dies, something crazy like that.
Well, if you have the freedom to say what you want to say, hopefully you're the same type of person that believes independent corporation or a public forum can kick you off for, breaking their rights or their user agreements. If you're a public official, you could say, oh, they're just cops. No, the public looks to you to do your job. I should feel safe around you. So if you don't look and care for one group, then I don't think you should hold that position. Army, we say a lot of messed up things as jokes to each other because we know each other. But if someone generalizes a whole group, I know I do it, and I've seen other people do it as well. We step up. Hey, that's not necessary. Stop it.
Yeah.
It's not right, And people could say whatever the hell they want to say. Oh, stop being a bitch, or oh, all of them. It's like, one, you never know who you're talking to. So you shouldn't generalize a whole group of people. There was one time they were talking about Muslims, and didn't know that a female soldier standing right next to them, her parents were from Iran, and she was Muslim.
Yeah, it's stuff like that too. With the melting pot that is America, it's always like, one of the ones that I've seen the most are like when a Hispanic friend of mine, they don't necessarily have qualities or features that most people would think that are typical of Hispanics. So then we're in a setting, and then somebody says something about them, and they respond to them in Spanish, and then like the look on those people's faces, like, oh my God, like, you heard what I said, or you know what I said, like, oh shit, like it's kind of funny in that regard, because then it's like everybody wants to be like, excuse me, not everybody, but people who are racist or whatever, or have racist remarks or stereotypical remarks or whatever, they're in their certain companies, they can feel okay to say that because, like, oh, I'm surrounded by a bunch of white dudes, or, the Hispanic dude's surrounded by a bunch of Hispanic dudes, or black dude's surrounded by a bunch of black dudes, or whatever, I can say whatever I want. But then like you get into that area where it's like, you don't necessarily know the people that are around you like that or that well. And then you try to say something, and then someone is like, hey, yo, bro, like my cousin or my family or my wife or whoever, they're from this and that or whatever, or they are this and that or whatever, So it's always interesting to see those moments, because then like they get all apologetic and like, oh man, I didn't mean it, my bad. And it kind of lends into what you said, Sam, about like us joking with each other, like in the military and stuff. And it's like one of the biggest ones is like suicide. And it's like, if a cop was saying, oh, I'm gonna just shoot myself or shoot up all this place or whatever, and it's like, I would take that hella seriously, like, what the fuck. But if I joke around and say that shit to like some friends or something, they're gonna be like, man, shut the fuck up and go put your weapon away or something, I'm like, all right, you got it. you know, like it's something that you kind of need to think about as far as like your responsibility to like the world. Cause then it's like you said, social media, that's the world. You might think you're protected by this little bubble of privacy or whatever. Oh, it's my friends and family on here, but it's like anybody at any time can see that stuff. You know what I mean? Especially if they want to see that stuff. So you put that out there in the world for the world to see that, oh, like I hate Muslims or something. Bam. The world is seeing that. Not just your friends and family. That world has access to see that you put this out there, that you said this about this group of people, that you don't like this or that or whatever, you know, but you just kind of exposing yourself in that regard, you know, and those people that are doing that should definitely, I think any repercussions that come their way, they definitely deserve it. Absolutely.
Even if you meant it as a joke and you weren't serious about it. Like, what's the saying? There's a little bit of truth in everything.
In jokes, yeah.
In every joke, yeah. And it's like, secondly, if I don't know you like that, how do I supposed to know that you like me, that joke or whatnot?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. But now I know that there's a little piece of you that feels this way, I guess. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
My thing is, the ones that are going to get fired for what they posted, that I kind of want to know. I kind of want to know what they posted to get to the extent
must have been saying some wild
shit.
They
must have said some egregious shit. They must have been talking about hanging somebody or something.
For real. I know like a couple of the ones I saw, I know they were talking about some of the guys that, you know, they apprehended a black dude or whatever. Like, oh, he should have, you know, you guys should have gave him a couple more lumps on his head, or you guys should have just shot him. Some of the ones I saw were about, you know, like alluding to like beating their wives or something, you know, or their significant others, you know, stuff like that. And it's a lot of bad shit, but it's just kind of one of those things, like you said, it's like, just be responsible. Like, you know, even if you're on this dark shit or whatever, you know, this messed up stuff, why would you, well, I mean, I guess if you're on some stupid dark shit, you're going to do stupid and dark things, or stupid things at least, you know. If you're going to be in there saying that stuff, then serves you right then, you know.
It also comes with some sort of being able to own up to it. Like I understand that there are times where people are in certain places in their lives, or they're doing certain things, or they're feeling some type of way. I mean, granted, I know that there's a bunch of divorce that can cause you to do this sort of stuff, a bunch of deaths in families, a bunch of things that happen personally that can definitely change the way that someone posts online. Or I mean,
like a white dude coming back to his house and his wife's getting fucked by a black dude or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, exactly. Stuff like that. But I mean, stuff like all jokes aside, it's stuff like all these sort of life-changing events can cause people to have these sort of reactions to other people. But I mean, it also comes up with that piece where you have to own up to the way that you feel. If you truly feel that way, if you truly feel like, oh shit, fuck this specific group of people, and if they own up to it, I mean, it kind of shows. I'm pretty sure those are the people that are going to be the ones that are getting fired, the ones that are saying all these things about domestic violence or about lynching or about the goat fuckers, all those sort of things. Like the people that are saying those sort of things, I'm pretty sure those are the people that are going to get fired. But I mean, it also comes up to the point where, I mean, I can almost guarantee that I've said something that I probably didn't mean to say on social media, and it's all about saying, you know what, that was on me, that was my bad. Like, people aren't perfect. I know that none of us are perfect. We all have our flaws, and there's all some things where maybe we posted something that we really didn't mean to say at that time, but we were in a way worse mindset than we are now. So I mean,
for me, there are some things you should never like joke about.
Yeah.
And on my list, like, of things never to joke about, domestic violence is like one, and it is surface.
For sure.
Like, that to me is like, yo, that's not a joke. That is like serious shit, especially when you talk about law enforcement. Because believe it or not, there is a high number of law enforcement officials that commit domestic violence. It's a thing. So with knowing that, you know, and then police officers, the people who are investigating those issues of domestic violence are their fucking buddies. So sometimes you have family members who want to speak up and say something but can't because, oh, well, Chris's best friend works night shift. So if I call, you know, Thomas might show up, and then it just gets swept under the carpet as if nothing happened. I'm not saying that's how it is always, but, you know, if you actually research those type of things, then, you know, that's one of the reasons why it goes on in their family. So to me, when people joke about domestic violence, that's definitely really not funny.
A lot of the topics discussed were very serious.
Yeah. My other thing is, I don't like when people rag on like someone's religion. You know, one of the things they said was Islam wasn't a religion, it's a cult.
Yeah.
And my instant brain function went into the form of, well, it's funny you say that, because around the 100 ADs when Christianity was coming up, Christianity was a legit cult. The Romans classified Christianity as a cult following. So it's like, well, Christianity kind of began as a cult. You're calling Islam as a cult. Maybe you should learn the background of your religion too.
Yeah.
Not talk about other religions like that, because it's not fair to everybody within that general population.
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like, honestly, I hate most conversations about religion just because I feel like some people, well, not necessarily conversations about religion, but when people are like kind of speaking out against like certain religions or speaking out against religion, period, or whatever. Oh, religion's the dumbest thing, whatever. And it's like, man, just shut the fuck up. Don't nobody want to hear all that. People are into whatever the fuck they're into. You're into some dumbass shit too, I bet, Just let people do what the fuck they want to do as long as they're not hurting anybody, But yeah, religion is a serious issue, and that's probably a debate or topic for another episode. Moving on from there, though, on a lighter note, we're gonna kind of end this off with a little bit of a couple nerd topics, a couple topics about the entertainment industry, specifically the People's Choice for the Man of the Year award, Keanu Reeves, and discussions of him being a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm sure that I speak for everyone here when I say that we're all for this, yay or nay?
It depends on a character he plays.
Oh, of course.
That's my only thing. It's like they would have to find the perfect character for him.
I've seen a couple thrown out already. I've heard Moon Knight. I've heard Adam Warlock.
Ooh.
Somebody thought about the Sentry, and the interesting thing to me about the Sentry was that I imagined him in a costume, and that's as far as it goes. I couldn't imagine him playing. I know like the Sentry's like a dual personality or whatever. I could see him being more like the Void, but like I couldn't see him being like what's the guy's name, Bob or something, like the normal guy, or like the guy that's like not really.
He has no powers. He just found himself.
Yeah. So like I couldn't really see him playing that part of the role, because Keanu Reeves plays either pretty stoic roles. I know in Bill and Ted he was kind of like, oh, righteous dude and all that stuff, but like I've never seen Keanu just play outright like kind of dumb, He's pretty much looked the same for the last couple years in all his movies,
I don't see him. You said Moon Knight, and I was like, I was trying to imagine it the whole time you're talking. I was like,
yeah, I don't see that one either.
Not crazy. You would have to get someone crazy, like crazy, to play Moon Knight. Because you got Moon Knight is nuts.
Yeah. It would be like the equivalent of playing Rorschach.
Yeah.
You need somebody to fill that role, that look, all that, look fucking weird, act super weird, act crazy, but then their mentality can switch at like the drop of a dime, stuff like that. Like, and I don't personally see Keanu doing that. I feel like most of his roles nowadays are pretty stoic, he's not like super talkative in most of his films. He's not like super timid. It really like, he has a certain role he can play. And I was even thinking a villain. I don't know what specific villain, but I was like, man, I could totally see Keanu playing a villain role. And
Doom.
Oh,
Doom.
That would be really good. That definitely would be good.
See him playing like a legit Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
I would. I think my head would explode.
I don't even like with all these guys that you're talking about, and all these guys you're throwing out. It kind of just makes me feel like you got to think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and where they're going at it right now. Mm. And I'm like you said, I'm not 100% sure who he would play. I'm still trying to think about like which villains or which heroes he'd play. But Keanu kind of has this. He has that look that he's what he's going to be, what he's established himself as a sort of type of character. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to say that I've typecast him already as the John Wick or as the Neo, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's hard for me to see him in actually a Marvel movie, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to be stuck on Doom now since you said villain, and that was literally the first thing that popped in my mind. If he could play Doom without armor, because I think he can bring a sense of, he doesn't have to be too animated. He can be that stoic, just give off the energy of being, I'm bigger, stronger, more powerful than you. Like, he gives that badass energy off.
That big dick energy.
Yeah. And even with armor and with the mask, it doesn't matter, because it's just going to be him and his prowess that gives you that sense.
Yeah, for sure.
On the other hand, I don't think I would want to see him play Doom, because I think that would ruin my outlook on Keanu Reeves.
You're like, damn, this nigga's evil as fuck.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, that whole discussion. I know there's other people they've had discussions about playing roles in the future and things like that. And apparently with Keanu Reeves, they had been talking about this for a while. Him and Kevin Feige have a relationship, I guess. And, they just kind of always came to him like, what roles could he play? What it could it be? And I guess they're kind of finalizing that soon, it looks like here. So I'm sure we'll get notice of whenever the movie comes out, or whenever the movie's about to come, or, a couple years before the movie comes out, we'll probably know like, oh, Keanu is playing whoever. And, everybody's going to be like, oh shit, either mind blown, or I'm certain it's going to be a great role for him, or whatever it is, so we'll see. From there, I know we also you have a little bit of news in the anime world. Oh, actually, right before we go into the anime stuff, let's rewind a little bit and stay with the Marvel stuff. Marvel Comics had this big announcement coming, and in the corner, it even said Marvel Comics, but everybody saw like this big giant web that said the number 4, and then somebody else was like, oh, Spider-Man 4, like it was unrelated. But a lot of people thought that like the original trilogy, like Spider-Man 4, was about to come out or something. From what I heard about that movie, it didn't really sound like it was going to be all that great. I didn't really care about the idea of it. I'm not a fan of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man personally. Some of you guys might be. I know a lot of people. I was on Instagram the other day and I was like, unpopular opinion, Spider-Man 1 was like the only good Spider-Man movie. And then somebody was like, haha, that's why Spider-Man 2 is one of the best comic book films of all time, clown. And, just going in and I was like, you know what? That's why I said unpopular opinion, but go ahead and go off. Whatever. Yeah. I didn't like Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. Spider-Man, he was cool, but I feel like it's just gotten better and better. I think Andrew Garfield was better overall. I think that Andrew Garfield overall was better as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man to me, in my opinion. I've never really understood why The Amazing Spider-Man 2 gets like the hate it gets.
I think it's just because it wasn't Tobey. Yeah. People were dead set on Tobey at that moment. You got to even realize Stan Lee said Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Yeah. And people still hate Tom Holland Spider-Man, saying he's not the real thing. And I'm just like, well, seeing that the guy who literally created Spider-Man and made Spider-Man what he is, saying this guy is what Spider-Man would be, this film is Spider-Man. Yeah. You would have the professional opinion of, that's what we're supposed to get, not the first one.
I mean, he's smart. He's like, he has like the kind of like timidness of Peter Parker, and then still has like the, I'm Spider-Man, and is still, and the thing is too, like people aren't realizing he's still really becoming Spider-Man. Yeah. He's had all these great things happen to him. He's got his powers, Civil War, he was already kind of being Spider-Man, but he hasn't really had his big villains yet. Like Vulture's his first real big villain. He's probably doing stuff around the neighborhood. Even when he had that Stark suit, he was still just doing regular stuff. He wasn't doing nothing major like fighting a bunch of criminals and hardcore bad guys or anything like that. I know at one point in that film he takes a couple bank robbers out or whatever, right? Cool, but you don't see him like doing all this stuff the whole movie. A lot of it is like, oh, let me go get your bike. Oh, that guy took your purse. Oh, this guy needed help. This lady needed help getting across the street or something. Real regular stuff. And he's going to continue to grow and become bigger and fill into that role of Spider-Man more. Even at the end of that movie, he freaked out because he's a kid. He's still a kid. And then he was like, I'm Spider-Man. So he's filling out that role, becoming better, and he's going to just keep growing, get more confidence, I'm sure he's going to get better at the witty banner and all that stuff, as time goes on. Tom Holland was signed to 3 Spider-Man films, let alone all the other movies that he's going to be a part of in the MCU. So people just need to...
You know what I based it off of? I said, do you know what I based it off of?
What?
How well could they go toe-to-toe with Ryan Reynolds in a shit-talking contest? That's what my giveaway is. Like if I break it down, Tobey Maguire was a good Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was a great Peter Parker. Tom Holland is a great Parker and a great Spider-Man. Only basically because, he's an actual like martial artist. He actually knows martial arts. And his combat scenes as Spider-Man looks way more fluid and way better than Maguire's.
Oh, yeah.
And then, he has the wittiness of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, which allows him to be that nerdy, funny dude that, we know Spider-Man is. And also, I feel like if we put Holland and Ryan Reynolds in the same room, told them just to be the goofballs they naturally are, we'll have enough footage to like just
last us a lifetime. For sure. That would be great.
I think Tom Holland, if he needed to be serious, like a serious Spider-Man, he could pull off a serious Spider-Man. He's just an all-around great actor. And I know they want to do a Venom Spider-Man crossover with Tom Hardy. And I wouldn't be able to see, Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield staying side by side with Tom Hardy as Spider-Man while Hardy is Venom.
I heard that. I don't know if it was Kevin Feige or somebody said that. Somebody on the Marvel side basically said that they would be willing to do a Venom and Spider-Man crossover movie for like the Sony MCU crossover, but that it would be up to Sony specifically in order for that to happen, which, I mean, I'd more than welcome that. I mean, with this whole split our dimension or whatever, or busted a hole in our dimension, it's like that gives birth to fucking everything to come out. I can already see how the Fantastic Four could have been birthed by the fucking snap and the radiation it caused while they were fucking in a space shuttle, and like, it's so easy to just see how they're going to put everything together, and I hope they do a good job and don't fucking The one thing though, I don't want to see the X-Men come from another dimension. I'm sorry. Okay, that wraps up all the Marvel stuff. Really quick, really fast, guys. Did you guys see the MHA or My Hero Academia trailer for season 4?
Of course.
I did not see the My Hero trailer.
It's really short. It just kind of flashes over a couple scenes really quick. I just want, well, Sam, do you read the manga at all?
No, I like gave up because I don't have time.
Yeah, okay, I feel you reading. Not your strong suit. It's okay. DJ, what about you?
Wow.
First subs.
DJ,
I'm one of these newbie girls. I learned how to read as a kid. I learned how to whip us.
DJ, what about you? I know you're for the most part cut up. I think you're just like an arc behind, but what did you think about the trailer though?
The trailer kind of seems, obviously I'm excited. I kind of knowing what's to come. It's a really good arc, and I like it. I think that they do a lot of character building and a lot of world building in that arc, so I'm kind of excited. I really like the way that that they're able to take the source material in the actual manga and put it to the anime. I mean, even when we saw off last season's finale with the fight between All Might, it kind of shows like that they really stick to their source material and they really give justice to what the manga has. So I'm actually really excited. I want to see what this next season has. And like you said, I'm only a couple chapters behind you, so I'll be catching up here when I'm on this vacation in San Diego.
I think that as far as the trailer is concerned, I thought it was pretty good. Kind of gives you glimpses of everything that's going to be going on, even introduces you to some new characters real briefly. The season 4, I think, is going to be the best season of MHA for probably the next 2 seasons, unfortunately. It gets kind of slow in some parts. I'm a manga reader, catch up every week, so I'm up to date. It's going to get really good again in the future, but that'll take some time. I do appreciate the time off because I feel like that is what's leading to lack of filler, which I very much so appreciate. I hate a bunch of animes out there that have, half the damn series is filler because they don't know they can't exceed a certain point or whatever, or for whatever dumbass reason, it's just a bunch of filler. And like Bleach is notorious for that. Naruto's notorious for that. It's happening a bunch in Black Clover. I mean, the first episode isn't even the first episode of the series. The first episode is like a game show and they're going over things that is going to happen in the series. It's ridiculous. Who does that? Anyway, just a quick little anime rant. I'm excited for My Hero Academia Season 4 coming out. If you guys haven't heard about it or you guys don't know anything about anime period, I highly recommend. It's basically about superheroes in training, dealing with villains, and a society that is based off of a culture of people having powers known as quirks, a bunch of different random abilities, all ranging in all sorts of different variations from weak to strong. Some are more harmful than others. Some are very simplistic in nature. Some are very advanced and complicated in nature. It's a really good show. Has a lot of great themes about overcoming adversity and struggle and never giving up and following your dreams, of course, things of that nature. Really great show. Check it out. Last but not least, before we wrap up things here, I just want you guys to know that Culture by the Uncultured is growing and we're trying to get bigger each and every day. We're on multiple platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts now. Yes, you guys heard me correctly. We are now on Apple Podcasts. So give us a look on all those platforms. SoundCloud. I know on Apple Podcasts you can actually leave comments. You can rate us if you guys want to. Tell us we suck huge balls or that we're really great and that you would love to hear more from us, and even give us thoughts and opinions on what you guys want to hear in the future. YouTube, of course, you have comments, you have likes on there, dislike button. We also have our own website, www.culturebytheuncultured.com. On there, we'll usually have the newest episode up there. We can interact with any of our fans and listeners, and of course, we'll have more things available on that platform in the future, such as merchandise. We have all the links to all of anything that we're located on: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook. Even all those links are up there. We try to monitor that as much as possible. Last but not least, we have a Patreon for any of you guys that want to support us. We have 2 tiers right now. There'll be more tiers in the future as we grow and we get bigger and better. The first tier right now, it's only for $3. For $3, you'll get a shout out on the show, and as a way to say thank you for supporting us and in our endeavors. A $5 subscription would be, or $5, it's $5 a month. You can just stop it whenever you want to, but for $5, you get the shout out, of course, and you also get access to our private Discord channel. Yes, we have a private Discord channel. We'll invite you guys there and we'll chat with you guys however and whenever we can, of course, and you guys can ask us questions. You guys can recommend us things there. So there's a lot of ways to get in contact with us. Anything that you guys ever want to hear us talk about specifically, don't be afraid to let us know. Don't be afraid to give us any feedback. we want to improve and get better for you guys and future listeners of the show. That is our main goal. And last but not least, be sure to follow us on all those platforms. Follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud and Facebook page. Most importantly, that's where we get a lot of views. The most views is on Facebook. Be sure to like our page. We're growing every day on there. Same thing for Spotify. We're growing on Spotify every day. Apple Podcasts just got through, so hopefully we'll start growing on there shortly. Also, just want to, me personally, I just want to give a thank you to DJ, Sam, and Sunny. I know you guys all have your own different schedules. I mean, Sunny's on a fucking another continent. Sam, you know, you're in the military and, you know, you're busy all the time, especially being an MP. And DJ, I know you got a full family and, you know, you also in the military, going to go on vacation here soon. But I just want to give you guys a thank you for, you know, joining me on this adventure and giving some of your time to be able to either be able to talk, you know, Sam and DJ, and then Sunny as well, as you talk, of course, and you're going to continue to talk in the future, hopefully, but especially for editing the videos yourself. Just a heartfelt thank you to you guys.
Oh, we love you, don't worry.
But that about wraps up this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.